lovelies. Welcome back to another episode of In My Bedroom. Today, guys, we have the absolutely incredible Nate Francis with us. Welcome, Nate.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Today, we're going to be talking about songwriting, all things songwriting, ideas, processes, just everything that has to do with songwriting. It's going to be us today. So, Nate, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a pleasure. I've watched an episode with Jess. It's an absolute honour to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, like I said, we're going to be talking about songwriting, but before we get into it, Nate, you are releasing a song soon.
I am, yes. So this will come out after it's out, but so it's already out. Or it came out on the 28th of March. It's called Panic Attacks Over the Phone. It's kind of about feelings that are left over after a relationship has ended. It's a fun little song. It's going to be the first of a few releases, hopefully.
Oh, that's exciting.
In to something bigger over the summer.
That's really exciting.
So that is out.
So, how did you start writing this song? What was the process? Like, you've already given us an idea of what the song was inspired by. I mean, you don't have to tell us, but like, is it a personal experience, or like, what was it?
There was a very specific kind of thing that it was based on.
Okay.
I can't I know that it was about something specific, but it wasn't like a big thing.
Yeah.
But it kind of just I remember it happened very quickly. The thing is, it was so long ago. I think I wrote it maybe when we were like sent home in our first year of uni. Like, it's been so long.
Time. That's interesting.
It's a kind of common theme with me and the band that take a little while. But I'm glad that it's taken a while, because it's meant that we could work on it quite a bit. We've played it live so many times.
Oh, okay. So you never actually released it, but you're releasing it now.
Yes, finally releasing it. Nathan, the drummer, is finally happy with the mix. Well, he
I'm sure that took a while.
Actually, no, he's not happy with the mix, actually. I'm happy with the mix, and I think everybody else will be happy with the mix. But as soon as I uploaded it to just DistroKid, I told Nathan that it's all done, finally scheduled for the 28th of March. He immediately sent back, wait, and then sent through and put another one on the drive.
You know, it's so interesting. I don't know whether it's just like an artist thing or whatever, but I feel like there is never just like a good final mix. Like, it just doesn't exist. You can ask Jess. I've spent the last month and almost 2 months of my life working on songs, to the point that like I worked on a song recently and I was like, you know what? I promised myself I'm only gonna do like 3 mixes and that's gonna be it. I kid you not, I sent the song to my friend to master. I sent it to Justin to master. It was mix 18.
Yes.
He was like, are you sure this is the right mix? And I was like, yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. I went down the rabbit hole, and that was it.
Because when he was talking to you about it, I was like, it was master 2, right? I was like, no, it's 18.
I couldn't help myself. I was coaxed down the rabbit hole. I went down the rabbit hole, but I think it's a thing with anyone that gets involved in music. I feel like a lot of us are just like perfectionists, and we really just want to get things right, but it doesn't happen.
Yeah, the amount of like audio files things like DistroKid and labels must get that are like named like final version 5 mix master final.
You know it's
all caps final.
Really final this time.
You know, it's so funny because I watched a video. I was watching like a mastering video the other day, and the guy was like, never ever ever label like any of your songs like final, because like it's definitely not going to be the final. I was like, yeah, that would have been good advice to know like 3 years ago, instead of having like 50 finals that I'm sending to someone.
I will say though, it's quite nice having somebody like Nathan, who's absolutely perfectionist. His independent project was all about like basically a science experiment with different mics and different mixes and how to get different kind of sounds. It's nice to have him there helping out and essentially doing a lot of the production legwork, because it means that I get to like focus on the more creative side of things.
That's actually really good, because I had a conversation with someone recently, and they were like, Chantelle, like, you actually shouldn't really be mixing and mastering your own stuff. Like you should actually kind of delegate that to other people. And it's so true because like as much as I understand it's true, one, financial means, like it's not always the easiest to say, okay, I'm going to send this off to someone because more often than not, people want to be paid. So I think we end up developing so many different like skill sets as songwriters, as musicians, just to try and get the projects out and the work done. But I really realized it the other day when I sent the mix to my friend to master because he had me like revise it like 3 times. And I was like, you know, it's so crazy because I didn't hear any of this. I've been working on this song so long that like my ears are just numb to anything that needs to be tweaked or whatnot. So it really does help to have someone else, especially somebody that's so like nitpicky about different things, to listen to your stuff and really go over it just so you can end up with the best result possible.
Yeah, absolutely. In a production sense, obviously you hear about like ear fatigue, and you know, you can't, if you spend longer than half a day listening to just the same song over and over again, you just start to miss things. But I think long-term wise as well, in a creative sense, you also become, I don't know, I feel like my best songs come really quickly. If I'm working on a song for a while, then it tends to just follow this path that I just become comfortable with. That isn't necessarily the best version of it because I've spent so long on it. With panic attacks over the phone, the actual writing process was really quick. When I gave it to the band and we looked at it together, there was a few tweaks, and there's been a few final tweaks that actually Nathan has done mainly to make it more suitable for the radio and things like that. But in terms of creatively, that song hasn't really been changed all that much from the initial stage of things. So I think there's definitely something to say about, yes, being able to craft all these skills yourself because of financial means, and also a time thing. Everybody's so busy. But for the purpose of the song, if it's possible, for the purpose or any art really, collaboration is definitely very, very useful the vast majority of the time.
I agree. For you as an artist, how did songwriting like become a part of like the puzzle? Like how did you get into songwriting?
It came quite late. Well, I only picked up a guitar, I think when I was 15. I did my first like open mic. Okay. And it wasn't really ever a creative thing because I was just doing covers at that stage. When I was 16, my mum saw on her Facebook an advertisement for this local. It was in Birmingham, an educational label style thing where it was a year course or like an academic year, so it was about September to July kind of thing, and you would get, it was free, you had to audition for it. There was maybe 20 people on it or something. Very small thing, but they'd get masterclasses, you'd have certain songwriting sessions, and at the end of the year, you would have 4 hours of studio time, which at the time felt great.
But it's like, just like, I need like 50.
The thing is, the useful thing about it was that 4 hours of studio time also came with a resident like producer essentially, so you could get a lot of stuff done. But you got to record your own song, and over that year was when I did write my first song, and again it was based in something very teenage, emotional stuff. It was called White Noise actually. It is actually out, but I ended up, that was my first song that I wrote, and ended up recording that and releasing it. But since that, I can't remember what really drew me to it, but I think over time I just started to use my feelings more to write about things, and over university that really started to pick up when I had a lot of time on my hands because the actual course itself wasn't very busy. We didn't have 9 to 5 lectures every day. I ended up writing loads, and that just became part of my life. I'm very glad that it did.
Yeah.
And now that I'm becoming more busy outside of music, I'm still trying to keep that going.
Yeah.
But it'll always be a part of me, and I just need to make sure that I keep that going, because I'm very happy that it's something that I've got.
I think it's a very useful trait that different artists have to be able to write their own songs. I mean, when I was, I think, like 8, I wrote my first ever poem, and I was like, yeah, I'm good at writing poems, but I never felt like I could write a song. And for the longest time, I would tell people, I'm like, I can write poems, but I can't write songs, which doesn't really make any sense or add up. But it was when I was 15 that I wrote my first song, and I realized I'm somebody that's very specific about the things that I want, the things that I want to see, the things that I want to hear. So being able to write my own songs is like, yeah, I can actually create exactly what I want. Like, I don't have to like spell it out for someone else and this is what I'm looking for. This, I can just kind of like create it myself. And I think it also helps you really, I think writing in any sense is a really good form of expression. Songwriting, journaling, writing poems, really good form of expression. I think as artists, the best way we can connect with and communicate with people is by being our authentic selves and telling our stories. And what better way to do that is there than songwriting?
Yeah. It brings together so many different aspects of being creative, and that's just in the audio side of things.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to creating a world around that, then it introduces visual art and everything like that. But it's interesting you mentioned poetry, actually, because that also was something that I've been interested in for longer than I have in music. I think since primary school as well. I never really thought about it, I guess, but it's all very closely linked, obviously. With lyric writing and poetry. A lot of the time, writing a song is just writing a poem and putting some kind of music behind it.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, but it's definitely a really lovely way to express.
So, yeah, I agree. And how do you think that artists that have come before you have inspired you when it comes to songwriting?
I've been through phases. It's a stereotype that a white boy with a guitar likes Ed Sheeran, but I think that was my first love.
No, but it makes sense. Like, don't get me wrong. I think you're a very individual artist, but the first time I ever heard you sing, I got no. Oh no, who was it? I told you. I think I remember telling you the very first time I ever heard you sing that you reminded me of Jonathan Groff because of your voice.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because of your voice.
Yeah.
Because of your voice, you reminded me of him. But yeah, very much. I think your style of songwriting reminds me of very folksy, very like early days Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
Passenger.
Oh yeah. Passenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That was probably my first like introduction to that. I just liked the authenticity of it and the just how intimate it all felt. His Plus album, it's definitely changed over the years, his style.
Yeah.
Well, actually, his Subtract album kind of brought everything back down. And that was very intimate, and I think that's what a lot of people fell in love with him for, and that's definitely what I connected with him. Just how little vocal effects there were, how much of it was just an acoustic guitar and a mic. There were other things as well, but that was what I connected with him about. And then I think much more recently, actually, Noah Khan has been a big inspiration.
Yeah.
In terms of lyric writing, but I think in terms of the music behind it, I listen to a lot of Sam Fender. I went to go to Reading Festival in 2021. The year, it was a year either side. It was cancelled, I think, but I went to the one. Sam Fender was there. He wasn't headlining. He wasn't massive. It was before he released 17 Going Under, and I kind of remember just watching that. I didn't know who he was. And just thinking that like it just looks like he's having fun up there. It looks like the kind of music that he's actually putting energy into it, and the audience is reacting to that.
Yeah,
It's
there's
just
soul in that.
yeah, absolutely. You can feel it, and it's very easy. I think a lot of the time when you've just got an acoustic guitar, which is how it is for me a lot of the time, to just really fall into the slow,
Yeah.
really melodramatic stuff, which is useful sometimes, but sometimes you just want to put some energy out there, and I think that's why I really enjoy listening to Sam Fender stuff as well. But I think at the moment it's a mix of Sam Fender and Noah Khan.
Okay.
Really trying to mix together.
Okay, that's interesting that you bring up that different artists inspire you to do different things, because I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, Ariana Grande for me has always been like my number one artist for so many different things. I've always loved her approach to music. I've always loved her personality in her songs, her songwriting style, her taste in music. I've always loved every bit of it. But I got to a point recently where I was like, you know, it's so interesting. Like, as much as I love Ariana Grande, if I had to pick my favorite songwriter, it would probably be Taylor Swift.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I was a Swiftie long before I was a fan of Ariana Grande. I mean, I grew up listening to Taylor Swift, and I kind of like stopped listening to her for the best part of like a decade, and then picking her up again in like, I think 2023, I just realized, I was like, she's such a clever and witty songwriter. And I love the kind of stories that she tells. Like, they don't all have to be real, but she tells such wonderful, magnificent stories that make me feel so many things. So as a songwriter, she's somebody that inspires me so much, because that's the kind of artist I want to be. I want to be an artist that tells stories that, even if they're not real, even if they put people into like a headspace or a land of make believe, where it's like none of this has ever happened. This is based off of characters that don't exist, but this is a story that I'm trying to tell you. She's somebody that really inspires me. Ariana Grande is somebody that now inspires me vocally.
Right.
I mean, I love her music taste,
Yeah.
but vocally, when I think of her vocal arrangements, I'm like, I will die trying to achieve this, because of how brilliant I think it is.
I was specifically thinking about that the videos of her in the studio, just stacking vocals on vocals.
Her vocal arrangement, I'm just like, can I just sit? I won't speak. I won't say anything. I will try to hold my breath if I can. I just want to watch you do this.
Yeah.
It's
Must
brilliant.
be so inspiring. It's interesting you say about you. It doesn't really matter if the stories are real or not within Taylor Swift's lyrics, because I mean, it helps with the size of the fan base that she's got. Like, it's huge, but even if the stories aren't real to her, like, they're going to be real to somebody.
Else,
and I don't think it's possible, really, unless you really write just a straight fantasy. Like, most stories are real, even if it's not real to the writer.
Yeah, it's real to someone.
You know, it's so clear that Taylor Swift is writing for not just her; she's writing for everybody.
Yes. And I think as an artist, that is kind of, I don't want to say always where you have to start from, but I think it should always be a part of your process when it comes to creating music. It's the fact that, and we spoke about this with Esther actually, it's the fact that, it's so important that you create music and you do music for you because you love it and you enjoy it, because at the end of the day, you don't want to get burnt out. Like, you need something that's going to keep you going. But at the end of the day, you're also doing this for other people. You're also doing this to build a connection with other people. You're also doing this to communicate things to other people, and also to give people a voice to communicate things that they might not be able to communicate themselves. And Taylor Swift does that so brilliantly. But also, if you think about it from like just a songwriter's perspective, there are only so many experiences you can have in life that you're going to be able to write about and tell stories about. And if you think about her discography and how many songs she's released, I'm like, she's literally only in like her early 30s. Like, how many life experiences has she had that she's going to be able to write that many songs? Like, you have to draw things from different places, from TV shows that you watch, from books that you read, from people walking down the street, things you see, in order to create this world where I'm not just telling my stories, I'm telling stories of things that are happening around me and things that people are going through and experiencing. It's brilliant.
Oh yeah, she's probably released more than 100 songs. Is that fair to say?
Probably the Eras tour. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, what?
Hats off, bow down,
It
cheap.
was like 50,
Incredible.
50 songs a night, I think. That was about a few hours a night.
When I heard about a training routine for it, I'm like, yeah. This is the idea that you think of, and it feels like a good idea at the time. But when you come to execute, you're like, maybe not so much.
The thing is, with Taylor Swift, she can execute anything, but she's at the point where there are people that her fan base is that big, and she's got that much power in the music industry that any idea that she has, she can.
You know
execute.
something I really want her to do? And Taylor Swift, if you ever find this video, first of all, I love you, but can you please just write like a musical? I really want her to write a musical. After listening, hear me out. Listening to 1989, the album, what's it called? Her version of the album. There's a section of songs where it's, oh my god, am I going to remember the names of the songs? There is New Romantics, there's, I think, Wonderland, and listening to those songs, there are some other songs that come, like, I think those in between them, and so just listening to that collection of songs towards the end of the album, I'm like, this would be so perfect for a musical. And thinking about her songwriting style, the way she tells stories, she would be brilliant. The funny thing is, part of me deep down feels like maybe she's working on this and thinking,
Yeah.
and then it's just gonna come out and be like, I knew it, I wanted her to do this. But she should write a musical.
Yeah.
It would be so brilliant.
Definitely wouldn't surprise me. The amount of stuff that she's already done, and like you said, she's only in her early 30s, plenty of time. Even if she doesn't write it, at some point there'll be a jukebox musical of Taylor. Or if that doesn't already exist, there will be a musical Taylor Swift related fairly soon, I imagine.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
That's what you call not generational wealth, but like that is a career that's gonna last a lifetime. Even if she doesn't make like a Madonna, you have Madonna, you have Cher, the Taylor Swift is gonna be one of the greats. Just her career is incredible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, as we were saying, like songwriting is about so many different things for different people. It's about like expression. It's about storytelling. How do you think your songwriting has evolved over time? So many different people go through different phases where songwriting means different things to them. How do you think yours has evolved over time?
Interesting. Yes, it's definitely changed. At the start, it was very. Before it started to pick up in uni, I didn't write all that much. I certainly don't remember really any. I don't play any of it anymore. I think it was very raw and very unpolished. I wasn't really very good on the guitar. When I'm thinking about songwriting, I'm just thinking about me and the guitar. And at that point, that's all it was because I didn't have the band. But it was very, not great. But over the time that I did still work on it, actually when we went to uni and then came back for like the rest of the year because of COVID, that's when I really started to work on it, because at that point I'd met so many musicians and the assignments that we had, and music was just always there. That's when it started to pick up, and it actually was quite quick and quite emotionally driven. At that point, I wrote songs like These Streets, which is also out. That was very quick. I was writing quite heavy stuff back then. I think I was starting to understand like political stuff a bit more and start to delve more into that world and get annoyed about that kind of thing. So that was a big part of my writing. That's also when I wrote Night of Our Lives. That was also quite quick. It's all very... Over time, though, it started to slow down and it started to become more methodical. And there's actually a lot more songs that I kind of throw away now.
Mm.
There's stuff that I kind of just need to get done. I need to get out of my system, and it doesn't necessarily mean that
Gonna be songs
they're
that
great.
Yeah.
That I'm happy with anyway. And I still do find that the songs that I write quickly,
Mm.
I guess it's a common theme. Yeah, the songs that I write quickly are the songs that I tend to keep, or certainly the songs I want to continue working on. Anyway, there's something that I had a gig a couple of weeks ago at Cat Space in London Bridge, and I played a song there that I only wrote a couple of days before. It was at like 10 o'clock at night. It's a very short song, but I think it's a song that I'm most happy with in recent times that I've written anyway. And I think I'm going to be putting that as just a live acoustic version on some kind of project at some point, just because it's just the best songs I find are closely linked to deeper feelings.
Yeah.
And the more that I've been songwriting, the the kind of less of that happens.
Yeah.
I'm kind of starting to. There have been times where I've seen songwriting as more of a skill rather than a passion, and I'm not a huge fan of that at times. And I'm definitely working on that at the moment.
That's interesting, because I think I went through a phase when I first started songwriting where I was doing it purely because of the joy of it. I was like, I love the things that I'm creating, because it was so new to me. I was like, oh my God, I wrote this and it sounds so amazing. So I was doing it because of that, and then it became very technical about, okay, what is the best kind of song that I can write, that I can release, that's going to get me the most number of views, it's going to do very well. And that was a lot of the world and the industry getting into my head about what is good and what isn't good. And I was actually stuck in that phase for quite a while. Like, I would say probably from when I was like 16 to maybe after we graduated uni. I would say it's only in the last like year where I really took a break from writing those kinds of songs. And I was just like, you know what? I just want to write songs that make me happy. That like I listen to and I'm just like, oh my God, because there are people out there that will like these songs. I'm a person, I like this song. Someone else out there is gonna like this song. Just like there are people that write songs and release them. They might not be the most popular, but they get me to say, oh my God, I love that song. So writing from that place, one, it feels more genuine, and two, it feels healthier. Like, I don't feel like I'm forcing or I'm dragging something out of me. It just kind of pours out of me. It feels better. The music ends up being better, and irrespective of however it does, it's still a project that I'm proud of and I love, which makes the whole, I want to be an artist, I want to do what I want people to listen to my music, whole thing feel better, because it's a really hard thing to say, I want to be an artist and put your music out there and maybe not necessarily have it do so well or as well as you want, but to create a project that you can look at it and be like, you know what, like, I actually don't care if anybody listens to the song. You can listen to it if you want to. If you don't. I wrote the song and I love what it sounds like, and I'm happy to put it out there for whoever to pay attention to it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I remember actually a while ago you asked me in university what I kind of do when I'm essentially like writing, but when I'm struggling to write a song, what do I do? And I think exactly that kind of, I remember saying, it's just waiting until, like, not forcing it. If you force it and you try really hard to make a good song, the likelihood is it's not going to be a great song, and then you're just going to feel bad about yourself because you've tried really hard and not written a good song. Like, oh, I thought like I was
doing a good job.
What I was good at, you know. And so definitely, it's tough, but waiting until you've got that spark, because at the end of the day, it is creativity, and you can't always force that. There are times where there are methods to kind of create song after song after song and make them, like you said, maybe radio ready or stream worthy. But at the end of the day, if it's not something that you connect with, then it's
going to be harder to put out there. I mean, I've had it where I've worked on projects where I've loved the song, or I've loved the song, but maybe I haven't loved the music video, or I've loved the music video, but maybe I'm like some having other people involved in the song took away some elements of the song that I really loved and I really wanted to keep. And that made me feel disconnected from the song. So it's like, oh, it's just another thing that I put out there. And it's like, I don't really care. And in a way, it kind of makes me feel dead on the inside. I don't know about anybody else, but it makes me feel a little bit dead on the inside because I'm like, this is something that I really wanted to love and be proud of. Or at least I started off really loving this and really being proud of it. And it's just turned into something that, for me, is like, bleh.
Yeah. And I think it's so easy for audiences to tell if the artist doesn't really have their heart in it. They could try all they want. I think it's not too difficult for audiences to suss that out.
I agree. Okay, I have an interesting question for you.
Okay.
As an artist, actually as a songwriter, how do you find AI?
It's really depressing. I've started seeing Billboard and Netflix adverts that are clearly just created by AI, and it's just really sad. Like I was sat in, I actually came to Stratford yesterday. I went to go see a comedy show. I was sat in London Bridge, and I was waiting like 20 minutes for a train, and this one advert on a loop was just playing, and it had those like kind of imperfections that a human wouldn't be able to make.
Yeah.
It was just so sad. It's clearly just something that they'd just typed like a three sentence prompt into some kind of thing to generate this, and then chucked, I don't know, a few, tens of thousands of pounds just to have it on the billboard there and not really thought about it. And yes, it does stop. It lessens the work that creatives can get themselves involved with, and it also takes away some of the creativity around art a lot of the time. I will say that in terms of productivity, it can be really useful. As a teacher, it's a big part of the conversation at the moment is how much teacher workload can be helped by using AI. And that's not for the like the real specific part of stuff where you can really it's just essentially it can be used to help with admin and take away all those menial tasks that teachers don't really want to focus on. They'd rather focus on helping the students. But they have to do all of this other stuff as well. Could it be used to help that? And I think it can be useful in that sense. But creatively, it's a bit of a bummer.
I agree. I don't want to say I disagree. I agree, but I think the way I look at it is people need to be wary of getting lazy with AI, because I think AI is developed or has been developed to be a tool, just kind of like we have Microsoft Excel, so we don't have to just like write all these numbers and like by hand and do all these kind of things. It's a tool to help you. It's not supposed to be the thing that does it for you.
Okay. Yeah.
So the way I approach AI is I'm like, how is this going to help me, and how is this going to enable me to do my work more efficiently? So I might ask AI a question like, okay, I have this idea to write this song. And okay, if I want to write a song about something that might be a little bit like risque or a little bit just like not PC, I'm like, okay, I really want to write a song about this. How can I talk about it in a way that isn't going to be so kind of questions that I would ask someone else. That if my friend is too busy and I can't pick up the phone to call them and ask them, I would ask AI that kind of question, and it's useful in that sense. Or kind of like, what's a really good songwriting structure that's out there? If I want to shake things up a bit, but I don't have another songwriter in the room to work with, that's a tool. It's a collaborative tool. I'm not going to sit down and say, AI, write a song for me, because that's just laziness, and it takes away the human element of songwriting, which is very much needed. At the end of the day, if you want to pay a stupid amount of money to go watch a robot dance on stage, or I don't know, a computer sing you a song, by all means do so. But I like the people, I like the dancers, I like going to a show and having the artist look at me and smile. Things like that. Human contact. We were built for, we were created for human contact, not computer contact.
That is definitely, yeah, it's true actually. It's a good point. When I was talking about it, I was only really talking about AI producing a finished product.
Yeah.
When in reality, yeah, it can be used to help with things like writer's block, and also just to have something to bounce ideas off.
Yeah.
Because it can just be, it can just act as if it's another human, I suppose. But as long as as the creative, you're putting in like 90%.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists and songwriters don't like AI because industries and labels are very quick to be like, okay, what's the most efficient way of getting this work done? What's the most cost-effective way of getting this work done? And if they can pay a computer to do it, they probably only have to pay once instead of paying a songwriter like a lot of money over time to work on an album or whatever with an artist. And I think that's where they're wrong, because they lose a lot of the magic in the process. And I think songwriters also need to remember that they too have value, that AI isn't something to be afraid of. It's actually a tool that they can really utilize to enhance their work.
Yeah.
And if they can find a way to do that that works for them, then they'll be fine. I mean, please don't quote me on that, because at the end of the day, and I don't work in a label, I can't say for sure, but I think that is the best way to view it as a songwriter. Don't be afraid of it. It's not going to take away your job, but it is still useful in some ways.
Yeah. It's. I think I see it differently in the hands of businesses like labels compared to in the hands of individual creatives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, actually, I don't know if I would want to use it. I think it's the kind of thing where, like, if I did use it once, then I'd start to become, it'd start to.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's really important to not get lazy.
Yeah, I think it's a self-control thing, because I realized the other day, I was like, I used to be so good at English, and now I find it so hard to just like write something that sounds intellectual. I mean, I still can, but probably not to the degree that I could before. And I'm like, AI is dampening my intelligence. I was like, it's not okay. So I've actually made the conscious effort to just not ask AI for certain things and to actually do the work myself. Because I'm like, I'm a smart person and I want to stay a smart person, but your brain is a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it's gonna become useless to you. Like, you're not gonna be able to do all the things you used to be able to.
I kind of feel the same way about air fryers. I haven't bought myself an air fryer because I want to get good at cooking. I feel like air fryer is kind of cheating.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking around to see if you've got one.
No, I don't have an air.
Got one. No, okay, cool. I'm safe.
I don't have an air fryer, but I agree. See, it's a useful tool, but don't overuse it. Like, actually do the work yourself. But yeah, speaking of like tools and stuff that we use to songwrite, what is your favorite thing about songwriting?
I think I really enjoy the combination of the kind of melding of lyrics and music, and I suppose that's all of songwriting. But like, more specifically, I really have quite a connection with rhythm. And it's not something that is really spoken about a lot with songwriting or lyric writing, possibly. But I think using rhythm to connect, like I write with the guitar, using rhythm to connect words and the guitar, it's something that if I'm watching somebody else, and I don't mean to be like horrible, but if I'm, something that really stands out to me is when people don't use like the syllabic emphasis correctly, or if they don't use the rhythm correctly, or if it all feels like maybe they've done certain parts of, like they've written a melody, they've written lyrics, and like a guitar part or a drum part, and it's all kind of been separately, and it's all kind of been smushed together in the wrong way, and it doesn't necessarily connect with each other. I think it's the combination and kind of the collaboration of everything fits together nicely. It's quite satisfying in some way.
Yeah.
Actually, as a mathematician, that kind of
That makes a lot of sense.
It does. It does feel quite nice when everything fits quite nicely, and it all feels natural.
Yeah, satisfying. That's how I feel about vocals. A nice vocal arrangement, I'm a happy bunny.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. You can scrap the entire instrumental. It doesn't need to go on. I don't care. If you can get that vocal arrangement right, I am a sucker for harmonies. Add harmonies to a song, I'm probably automatically gonna like it.
Yeah.
But that vocal arrangement, if you can get it right, it's just
How do you look at doing harmonies with your vocals? Obviously, there's lots of them. Do you kind of do them on the spot, or do you kind of pre-plan them? Do you think about what kind of chord it is, or you do it
sometimes it depends. So sometimes I might have recorded like a verse, and I might be like, okay, time to add ad-libs and harmonies and stuff. And sometimes things just come to me. I'm just playing around, and something I'm like, oh, I like the way that sounds. If I can't think of anything, then I usually pay more attention to the chords, and I'm like, okay, what will actually fit here and sound nice? Sometimes I also just like press record and I just sing, and something happens, and it's like, okay, I'm keeping that. Okay. I'm not even gonna re-record it. I don't care if it sounds mumbly or whatever. It's just to blend in. I'm gonna keep that. That was pretty. So it's so many different ways. I don't say I ever really get stuck when it comes to harmonies, but something I'm really trying to work on is trying to be creative with harmonies, because if I ever classify myself as a producer, I always think of myself more as a vocal producer than anything. So to enhance and grow my craft, I'm trying to be more creative with harmony. So I'm trying to just experiment more and play around with things. And in the process of doing that, it becomes easier to do them.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting.
Yeah. I have another question for you that has to do with songwriting and tools. What is your favorite songwriting tool?
I don't know if I have any like tools. Okay. It tends to be very no, actually I don't think no, I don't really use any tools.
That's interesting.
No, I try again, I don't really want to I want it to be as authentic as possible. And I know there's ways of using tools that still keep that authenticity. But I don't know, I just never really found myself drawn to using certain programs, or I don't write in a DAW.
Okay.
All I do really is write. I use the Notes app to write lyrics and just kind of record it into my phone.
Yeah.
And keep that really. Yeah, it's very, very
simple and straightforward. I'm the same.
Yeah.
I pretty much, it's literally just the Notes app and voice memos for me. But there was a tool or anything that I used, it would probably be, oh my god, what's the name of this? You know when you're like looking for a synonym of a word? What is it called?
I was trying to remember the name of it the whole time. I was
what's the name of it called? So basically that website. Oh my, Rhyme Zone. Yeah. Rhyme Zone. So when you're looking for like rhyming words, so the way I songwrite is sometimes I come up with a melody and I might just sound something out that sounds like a certain word. So I might say, like, do something that sounds like C. Just sound it out, but I don't exactly want to use the word C. So I know I'm looking for a word that ends with that E sound. So I will use Rhyme Zone to find the right word that I need to finish the song. So Rhyme Zone is probably my favorite tool to use for songwriting.
Yeah. It's I think I looked at that a couple of times when I was starting. I feel like I've got decent. I'm all right at thinking of rhymes and.
Oh, must be nice. No, I'm not.
I'm not having to brag. But,
Must be. He's just that good of a songwriter.
no, I just kind of keep it really as basic as possible. I think it's probably out of laziness, really. I just end up sitting on my bed and not wanting to stand or
do anything.
Yeah.
That's why just all on my phone, just rhymes and just everything. I'm the same. I'm also really bad with finishing things. So that's why that painting has been there since like October 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, literally. If I don't finish something in like a certain number of hours, chances of me finishing it or going back to it are not necessarily the highest. So I try my best to kind of write my song. If I have a song idea, I do my best to kind of finish it where it is. If not, it's just gonna be a hook or a verse for the next like month or two.
I've got so many half songs in my phone. So many.
I don't even know. I've written songs that I just can't even remember. Like sometimes going through like my all my projects on like Logic. When did I write that? And like when did that idea come about? Or like on my phone, I'm scrolling through, and I have this very bad habit of just labeling my titling my voice memos new song. So I'll scroll down. New song like a month ago. Then I scroll down. It's like 3 months ago. New song. I'm like, huh. So what was this? What was this idea? And because I mumble when I record things, I'm like I can't really make out what the notes are. So I'm just gonna delete this and hope it comes back to me.
Although what we were talking about earlier with using kind of collaboration to come back or to see creative ideas in a new light. Sometimes I go back and find an old song. It's quite rare, but sometimes I look back just scrolling through and find these lyrics or find this audio file of a song that is like I can just about remember, but it's like a fresh set of eyes is coming onto it. Maybe it's been long enough that I have improved as a songwriter, or maybe I'm just in a different environment and feeling different things about something. But if it is almost like it's a fresh set of eyes, you know.
It's interesting. Have you ever written a song where you feel like that song wasn't for you, but it was for someone else? Because it's a good song, but like it doesn't. You just like this song just isn't right. But it's not because it's not a good song. It's just because it's not necessarily right for you.
I think I often finish songs and don't necessarily feel a very strong connection with them. But it's those kinds of songs that I don't really do much with. So I know that, I imagine with a lot of songs, there'll be somebody that connects with it if I did play it or did release or did share it. But I don't feel a very strong inclination to share anything that I don't have a connection with myself. Yeah, but no, I do think there's been songs that I've written that other people would probably connect with that I don't really.
That's interesting. Well, thank you, Nate, for telling us so much about your songwriting journey and your processes and your ideas and how you feel about AI. Thank you for telling us about all of that. But
we should have been a bit more sympathetic. No.
But yeah, I mean, it was wonderful to hear about all of that. It's always refreshing to have a conversation with another songwriter because there's so many different roles in the music industry when it comes to being an artist. So sometimes people don't songwrite. Sometimes there's certain things they just don't get. But it's always refreshing to talk to one. But yeah, thank you for talking to me about that. And now I'm going to play a game.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Thank you for having me. I know it's not the end, but thank you anyway.
You're welcome. Right. So we're going to play a game. The game is called Hooked in 60 Seconds. And how it works is taking turns, each player is given a word and they have 60 seconds to create a catchy hook to it. So Jess is going to give us the word and then we're going to sit down and think about it and in 60 seconds come up with just like a little catchy hook. Nothing serious, just casual, easy. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, Jess, have you thought of our word?
Yeah.
Please, just be nice.
Leaves.
Leaves. Oh my God.
When are we?
Okay.
Should I start the minute?
Should you start the minute? Okay, leaves. I'll start the minute. I'll do the timer.
Okay.
Leaves.
No thinking yet.
Jess, what kind of songs do you write?
I just thought it's better than brick. So
Leaves.
It would be if you thought of a word worse than brick. I'd be really impressed actually.
IKEA drawer.
Okay. So our word is leaves, and just no. Our word is leaves, and we're gonna. Okay, our 60 seconds starts now. All right.
What you got?
I think okay. Who wants to go first? I didn't even write down my word.
Okay.
I probably should have.
Okay, but you got hook not written down.
I've not written down fucking head.
Have you got it written?
Yeah.
But this is why he's the best songwriter. Just like he's thinking. I'm not. I'm just so focused on winning. I probably won't.
It's not competition, is it?
It's all about taking
It's
Is
part.
there a cash prize?
I wish. Okay.
Didn't have the capacity.
Oh, okay. Since you're the guest, I think you should go first.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. I had an idea about linking the word leaves as in leaves, like plant leaves, and also leaves as in the verb.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
And I went with okay. Again, a bit more preamble. I've written kind of a separate hook and then just stuck the word on the end.
Okay.
It is relevant. Yeah, no, it does relate. Okay. Times they change one another, see them fall into the ground. As the seasons change their colour, everything's just turning brown like leaves.
That's so much better. That is so much better than mine.
I imagined it in the wrong key. It was quite low.
Yeah.
I was going to picture myself saying that in falsetto, but I'm not going to risk that. Maybe I should have taken the drink.
Mine is no as good as that. I had the idea to I was thinking of leaves, I was thinking of autumn, I was thinking of falling, and I was falling for someone. So that was my idea behind it. If I could remember the key that I chose, that would be great. Okay, I think I remember what it was. We'll see. I might have to. We'll see. Okay. Falling, falling, just like the leaves, like in autumn, falling, falling for you. That was what I came up with, and that's that.
I can picture your harmonies across that.
Yeah, something like that. When I've actually warmed up my voice and not been drinking cold water like a maniac or somebody that's been deprived of water. So, but yeah, that was my idea. That was interesting. And that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Jess, please, next time, pick a word like baby or something. Leaves.
That's so generic.
Yeah, that's why it would have been helpful. Leaves. But yeah.
Yeah, you're it's very R&B. I can picture the drum beat behind
Yeah,
it.
and yours, like I said, very different songwriting styles. It's really interesting. Yours is very like I can literally see that, like hear you playing your guitar and singing that song.
Might have a go on that later on, maybe.
That's interesting. Maybe next time I have a songwriting session with Dom, we can do this, and Dom can write a song too.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Love that. Yes.
That would be
Please
fantastic.
get it on camera. I really want to hear like they're all three of them, like Dom, Ben, and Nathan, are so clearly creative themselves. But because I'm taking the songs to them, a lot of the time it just feels like they're kind of playing what I tell them to play. I don't write their parts for them, but it definitely feels as though Nathan's really starting to come into his own. It's really great to have his creative input a lot of the time. Lots of it is structural changes. So I'm starting to fall into the pattern of like writing really generic structures, and Nathan is quite good at changing that. But there's so much in like Ben and Dom's brain.
I love it. I love everybody's individual style.
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
My God, so much. Like something that I really love doing is I tell these days I actually have Dom like start. So I might have a song idea, but I'll just be like, you know what, I don't want to think about what I want to do with this song too much. So I'll just be like, Dom, just write something. Write something. I have lyrics that I've worked on. Sometimes I might give him a key or something, but just like write something. I'll give him like a reference song. Like I kind of want it to be in this style. And I just love every single time. And every single time he comes up with something. And I'm like, Dom! I literally always say to him, I'm like, I'm obsessed with this. Like I love it so much. It's so good.
Yeah. He is.
Favorite
He's very
guitarist.
talented. We know a lot of very talented people.
Very, very fortunate. Very, very fortunate. But yeah, unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the episode, which is so insightful, and it was just so nice to have like a chill conversation about songwriting. And even that game, I think the last few games that we played have just been a little bit manic and wild, but this time it was just nice. It was easygoing. I love what we came up with. So thank you so much, Nate, for being here. Thank you for taking the time.
It's been great. It's been really, really nice. First ever podcast. Really nice to do. Hopefully some more in the future.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
really,
you so
really loved
much.
it. Yeah. Thanks very much for having me.
You're very welcome.
The
Yes.
song is out now.
Yes.
Saxophone.
Go listen to it. But yeah, thank you so much. And before we go, quickly, I'm going to give you guys the inspirational quote of this episode. And this inspirational quote is by Chris Martin, English singer-songwriter, musician, and producer, best known as the vocalist, pianist, and co-founder of Coldplay. And it says, "The goal is to try and make the perfect song," which of course will never happen. And it's very true. We will always try. Maybe one day someone will do it, but maybe not. But yeah, it's a wonderful quote. And thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of In My Bedroom. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, you can listen to more of In My Bedroom on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube. And go listen to his song. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Bye!